Mr. Dadka,
Mr. Buckley.
dude, welcome back to our podcast.
Thank you.
This is the Hungry People podcast. Yeah, it feels great, dude. This is the Hungry People podcast, the hungriest podcast in America. For those of you who don't know, this is your boy, Michael Patrick Buckley. I have two first names. I'm here with my co-host, AJ, the killer, the stunner Diveka. Everybody, let's get this show rocking and rolling, baby. The energy is high today. We got an awesome episode. Let's get it, baby.
It's a good day. Any day that I get to leave work early, it is a fucking good day. So we're here to kill it. We're here to bring you guys amazing content, something that's relevant in your life that hopefully you can take something away from this and improve the quality of your living situation. Before we get into the episode, I'll let MP do the intro to the subject, but I just want to tell you guys about Supercells. Supercells is the sponsor of the Hungry People podcast. The owner, Selena, amazing woman. I talk with her on a regular basis. Haven't heard from her recently, but I want to say that the things that she has created, really something special, really amazing. Now, personally, as being a vegan the last 8 years, doing just whole foods, doing tons of different kinds of supplements just to see if I've seen a difference or not. Thanks to DTM, I've really pinpointed the stuff that seems to actually work, where you can see a difference, feel a difference, and know that your money's going towards something that is going to benefit you. So this is probably my favorite product out of Supercells. So this is the Oxygen Skin Repair. Now, I've seen amazing things with this, even on myself. Like if you get sunburn, if you get a dry skin after a hot shower, if you have any little irritations, when I had my wisdom teeth out, I was spraying this stuff on the area so I didn't have to use antibiotics. If you have sunburn, I immediately feel relief from that pain that is sitting there. This stuff really works, really hydrates the system, hydrates the skin as well, gets plenty of oxygen. If you have pimples or inflammation, any kind of inflammatory issues, try this. Try a bottle of the Oxygen Skin Repair from Supercells. There's a link down below. Just click that. Look through the website. This stuff is amazing. Okay. I literally was at a festival and everyone was sunburned. I just go around spraying everybody and just getting immediate relief. And then I sold a bunch of bottles. So check it out. I wouldn't recommend it if I really didn't truly believe in it. It's amazing stuff. I always have 10 bottles for myself on the side here because I'm a princess and I need to take care of my skin and stuff. But check it out. Supercells, really awesome. Liquid oxygen. This is stuff, especially in today's world where air conditioners and heaters, we spend all our time sitting inside, we get dried out a little bit. So let's hydrate and get oxygenized.
Totally. Good stuff, AJ. Great stuff. Supercells the F up, baby. Cool. So yeah, great job there, by the way. Did I already say that? Yeah, I did. But anyways, on today's episode, AJ and I are going to talk all about fruit. What's the deal with fruit? It just seems like it's a recurring issue that I keep seeing on YouTube, on Instagram, not really on Twitter, but just all these social media platforms of people who are doing like high fruit, a lot of fruit. And they come and say like, oh my gosh, like I started having these health issues, my hair started falling out, my teeth started deteriorating, just all sorts of stuff, and AJ and I want to speak on it, and we want to bring some stuff to your attention, and we want to challenge those people who are saying only fruit, or like high fruit, and just don't know if necessarily that is the best way to go for most people, at least,
Yeah. We also want to talk about the people who hate so adamantly on fruit and talk about the benefits, because there's clearly benefits as well.
Yeah. Potentially there may be more benefits than cons with eating fruit. But yeah, I definitely specifically wanted to dive into like high fruit diets, and even just like moderate fruit diets too, but really anything, I think, let's just like start off in the beginning and just start like with the positives and just some of the benefits that we've seen and noticed and whatnot. But I feel like if you are just a normal person and you just kind of really eat whatever, and you don't take into consideration what you are eating, I think like incorporating some more fruit into your diet is going to be beneficial for the average person. I mean, AJ, would you agree with that?
100%. I think that the biggest shift I ever saw in my entire life is when I started eating more fruit.
Yeah,
when
right.
I went from eating standard American, which for me was just a lot of it. I was eating, I had big appetite, whole pizzas and all these types of things. Then all of a sudden I'm eating tomatoes by the handful, apples by the handful, a few bananas, some watermelon. And I'm like, I'm eating more than just a piece, right? I'm eating actual like larger volumes or sporadic throughout the day, lots of pieces. And I'm getting a different type of electrolyte and hydration and a lot of fiber. And it's helping me with my digestion. And those carb calories were helping balance out my thyroid. So I think the people who are going to see the most benefit from fruit are going to be the people who have an oversaturation of more kind of garbage foods. Right. So if you're eating lots of inflammatory stuff and then all of a sudden you switch and start eating more fruit, you're going to feel immediate probably relief, and you're going to have more energy, and you're going to have cleaner blood, and just everything's going to kind of function better. Where I think it becomes trickier is when you've kind of gotten a lower weight. And if you're at a lower weight, I feel as though the challenge then comes in with, are you getting the proper nourishment over time?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we can talk about that a little later on today or even in another episode. But I feel like a lot of people out there have a sweet tooth and they just don't even know to go to eat fruit rather than eating, your Twix bar, your milk chocolate bar, your whatever, basically any kind of candy, and give it a shot. Try it out. Like, instead of doing that, instead of having gummy bears as a snack, have a ripe banana, have a couple oranges, have some mandarins, have an apple, have some watermelon. There's so many fruits that are out there that can replace some of these foods that probably aren't, or they're ultra processed. We'll go with, they're probably not what one should be eating. And whatever. So and I think they're like it's almost like at this point I feel like it's just like common knowledge and common fact that like eating fruits and vegetables are healthy for you. Like there's tons and tons and tons of evidence about that. And if you're worried about like the sugar, I mean, there's ways around that, and we'll get into that a little bit today too. Yeah. So
I think that so I believe that there's a lot of challenges. Are we moving into some of the challenges with fruit? Or should we stay on the positives?
Let's stay in the positives for now for a little bit.
Okay.
Like,
let's do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like for myself, I got into like eating a lot of fruit and raw veganism in particular, 2019, like 2018-ish. And
such
like,
a young buck.
Yeah, right. Like end of 2018 is when I like started doing it. And then I was like raw vegan for a year in 2019. Now it's really interesting because for me, I never like it's like the longer you go on this journey, the longer you're on this path, like stuff just starts coming up that like you wish you didn't see, like even being on YouTube and seeing like some of these channels that are on there, like anti-vegan channels. It's like, wow, I honestly just like kind of wish I never would see it,
It kind of puts it in the back of your head.
Yeah. It's like in there and it's like, oh crap. Like, and then you start questioning everything, it's even kind of like questioning your, just eating on a day-to-day basis. Like beforehand, I used to just eat. If I was fucking hungry, I just ate. It didn't even matter. But like now I feel like I question it, but it's because I care and I really want to do what's best for myself, But yeah, so I got into eating a lot of fruit, and I was doing a lot of fasting at the time too, which was sort of difficult. But I don't think if I had to go back, I would do the kind of fasting I would do with eating a lot of fruit. Like I feel like if you're going to do a lot more fasting, I feel like more fat is good to do that. But yeah, so I think like if you're somebody who eats like sort of a crap diet, I think like the benefits of fruit are going to be just like top notch. And it's funny because I even have a buddy who was talking about how like he used to like supplement and stuff, but he says like, oh, now I eat like a huge fruit salad in the morning. And I honestly just stopped taking my supplements, because you could say that you are getting a lot of nutrition from the fruit, but yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey with eating fruit and trying different stuff out. And even now, it's just like, I'm still learning as I go and taking precautions and still figuring out like what works best for me. So.
Right. No, I mean, we just have to look at fruit. Like, okay, we're getting a different type of hydration, right? So a lot of people, they're getting their hydration from soda or coffee or, Kool-Aid and things like that. All of a sudden, you're taking in a fruit, which is usually anywhere from 60 to 90% water, but also added in the electrolytes and the sugars and the minerals and those types of things. So
right.
When you go from having bread or waffles in the morning to having some watermelon, you kind of have that different glow feel, especially in the beginning stages. So like having that hydration present is huge. And a lot of people are drinking diuretic stuff like coffee. So they're chronically urinating a little more than they should, maybe losing a little more water and electrolytes than they should be. So it's nice to be able to replace that. I mean, fruit is an energy food as well. We finally have a raw food that has calories and carb calories and sugars, so that it's really appealing to the athletes, because athletes, what do they want to do? They want to have energy to exercise, but they also want to recover quickly. Now, if your system is working at at least semi-decent level and you're able to process these fruits, now you're going to have this clean burning fuel that's in your system right away. I brought it up, I think in the last one or last two episodes, Mike Arnstein, ultra running legend, he says you want to have your blood sugar as high as possible when you're an endurance athlete. So, I wouldn't eat cucumbers if I'm on a 10-mile run, even though I love cucumbers and cucumber juice. The thing is, it's going to help you perform by giving you energy. It's going to be low inflammatory. It's going to digest really easily. It's going to hydrate you because you're sweating and burning things out. It's going to give you the carbohydrates you need to keep your thyroid function at your T3 and T4 healthfully. You're going to be able to maintain and sustain the output that you're putting in as long as you're fueling enough properly. So even though you're not getting a crazy amount of minerals, you are getting minerals from the fruit. You're also getting the one thing that I love about fruit is getting all the antioxidants. That's going to help neutralize free radicals, so that we don't have all these, we don't have all this inflammation kind of going around in our system, keeping us a little more, sore and hurting. It helps us recover really, really quickly. And it also helps again, preventing things like cancers
Cramps
and stuff. Yeah. Because, you don't want to have like the higher inflammation chronically, you're more likely to have a lot of these more metabolic type long-term disease issues.
Right.
So fruit has plethora, huge amounts of positive effects, especially for the person that does well on it. If you start eating it and you feel great, I don't want you to go around and like question it. No, it's like enjoy feeling good, but you also have to do the same if you stop feeling as good down the line. A lot of people, I think, in the diet world, raw vegan, meat eating, whatever, they're doing it because they think they should, not because it feels right or good. So if you're eating the fruit and you're like, wow, I feel amazing, run with that. But also keep in mind, it might not last forever.
Right.
If you start to just feel lower energy and your body wants everything else, but you're thinking, I used to feel good on it, I'm going to like keep making myself do it, but you kind of start to decline, switch it up, like keep some fruit in there. But MP, I think you made a great point. The people who start incorporating some fruit, the people who aren't doing any, they're eating all processed, dried, you can say dead or whatever foods, no enzyme activity or whatever. And they start eating some fruit, like you start having 3 apples a day, an apple before each meal.
Yeah.
You could see a significant change when you're finally getting in some hydration and fresh food. But do you need to make every single bite that you eat a piece of fruit? Now that's the debatable part.
Right. Exactly. AJ, that was all so well said. You listed off so many benefits. It's funny because I'm just sitting here laughing because I said early in the episode, I said, there may be more benefits than cons. And then after like 2 minutes of talking, you're like, all right, you want to talk about the consequences? I was like, wait a second, let's stay on the benefits.
Well, you know me, I can talk some shit on fruit too.
Yeah, for sure. But no, what you said there was awesome.
One of the benefits that Mike Arnstein talks about is he has a more controlled libido on fruit.
Okay.
which for me is like, it sounds like a negative, but he was saying it like it was a positive.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I can probably agree with that for the most part. But yeah, I mean, other than like some of the stuff that you were saying, AJ, like it's great to help restore muscle glycogen and keep your muscles fuller. And it's a clean source too. It's not like you're just like going and eating like shitty, crappy foods. And what else with fruit? Yeah, I think for some people, they can have trouble digesting it for like in the beginning stages at least. But like some like right away, they might notice like, wow, this feels great. It's awesome. And we know that.
I just want to step in. It's tricky. You'll have people whose their guts are, messed up, and they'll start eating fruit, and it's like baby food to them, and it's so easy, right? And then you could have people who either have fine digestion or screwy digestion, and they start eating it and they have a problem. So it's really like depends on the person.
Right. Well, because that's the thing with fruit, and even like in the healing world and stuff. Like there's people out there who would say that like food is not medicine. And I, for the most part, would agree with that. Like food is food. If you're trying to heal, what they'll say is like your body heals itself. It's not necessarily food, but like if you do eat more fruit, it's just like the texture of it. It's just like so easy. And it's just so much smoother on the body, in my opinion. And I know like some fruits, there's a lot of fiber and whatnot, but for the most part, it's just easy and it's cleaning. Like it helps keep you regular in the bathroom and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think like overall, like fruit equals good, and even like AJ and I, we are going to get into these challenges soon and consequences of fruit, but like, don't take that away from the positives of the fruit, because we definitely think that like, it's a go, like eat fruit,
right?
But there's definitely like a lot of stuff that you got to watch out for that could happen, that could come up, that we just want to speak on, so
completely. It's a food where you're going to feel clean. You're going to feel fresh. You're not going to have really any body odors. You almost become a nicer person. If you're eating like a lot of fruit and stuff, you're more zened out. You're more chill. You're more like, hey, let's just fucking get along and not argue and fight and bitch and moan about every little thing. And you're more one with the universe for sure.
Right.
But
with nature,
just like I said in the beginning, that has its challenges as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we need to fight back.
Yeah. I mean, when I was raw vegan, like I don't think I smelled at all. Like I smelled like a fucking king. And I still kind of do, but like, I mean, even now, like occasionally,
but there's plenty of fruitarians that smell like shit.
Yeah. There are a lot. Yeah, there are, and you'll just
met them.
Go to Woodstock and you'll know. But even like with myself, like I'll go in like phases of like having weird, like different smells in my body. Like I'm just like, oh, but like for some reason, I always like the smell. Like other people might not like it, but I do, so I don't mind it. But like on fruit, like I'm not kidding, I didn't like smell at all, like nothing, like zero odor. So that's another benefit. Now you could say like your breath too. Now I've noticed with bananas, like I'll get like banana breath sort of kind of sometimes, but like every other fruit for the most part, like not bad breath at all. Well, from like
if you eat an apple, your breath feels fresher, I think.
Yeah.
Like it cleans your teeth.
Right. By the way, this is specifically fruit. We can get into fruit juice one day, but I want to stay on fruit for the most part. But yeah, I mean, like obviously I don't like, I think it can be tough to like smell your breath, like, cause sometimes I'll go like this and like, or like I'll, try to like taste it and I can't really like taste anything, but like sometimes other people will be like, not me, but they can like tell a difference of like how your breath smells, That's why like with the banana breath, because someone said it to me before and I'm like, oh, really? Like the fuck? Like, so yeah. But I'm not sure what that is. But I've noticed it though. Like I've actually like, even with like smoothies and stuff, I've been like, wow, like, yeah, it doesn't like really taste. It doesn't like taste as good in my mouth, after. So, but anyway, so do you want to start getting into these? AJ, I know you're so excited.
Was it get into some of the negatives?
To some of the challenges, of of like high fruit diets and stuff?
Yeah, I think. See, I haven't wrote any of my books yet. Who knows? We're gonna have probably like a Hungry People book. I'm probably gonna write like a book on like my life and the things I've gone through. But I almost want to write a book on fruit, and it's probably gonna be like 90% like the challenges of trying to be a fruitarian in a fruit diet.
Right. Which I mean, but I think it's better knowing that and like knowing the challenges and possible consequences rather than just being like, it's perfect. It's the best food. It's nature's food. We're designed frugivores. Like, let's just eat fruit in the sun together. Yeah, like it's just, it's tough.
It's good to know that it's good to know some of the pitfalls and challenges so that either you can avoid them or keep it in mind so that you don't dig yourself deeper and deeper, like so many of us have, by just blindly following, hey, this used to work, I'm going to keep going until it works. And then you get into a stage where you're worse off than when you started.
Right. All right. So I'm going to start, AJ. I'm just going to take the reins here. Like, I just think like with eating a high fruit diet and a lot of fruit, I think it can be really challenging to always have fruit on hand, have it ripe and have it like ready to go. You know, like even like my bananas, all my bananas are ripe at the exact same time right now. Like you can even look right here. They're all like, they're the same ripeness. And I don't want to like eat bananas the whole day. So like I got to either freeze them or just, I got to down them, you know, like I'm not throwing them away, but I think even for the most part, like I don't like going to like 25 different stores. I like going to like one store and then being done. But like with fruits, it can be challenging because, I got to go here. Oh, well, avocados and mangoes are on sale over here. So I got to go here. Then I got to go here. Then I got to go here. And like for someone who's like extremely busy, that's tough to do. It's hard to sustain, but that's like why I eat a lot of frozen fruit too, you know? So I always have like frozen fruit dates on hand.
Right. The situational inconvenience is one of the biggest challenges and issues when it comes to any diet, any type of eating or any type of fitness or whatever. But situational inconvenience, meaning you go out to eat with family or friends, there's nothing you can fucking eat.
Right.
You go to the grocery store, there's fruit, but nothing's ripe. You know, you're ready to eat some bananas or mangoes or whatever, and there's nothing ripe. You'd have to let it sit. So yeah, you could buy apples or grapes, but especially if you've been fruitarian a while or you're a big fruit eater, no one wants to have that as like a main kind of meal because it's like more of an acidic fruit, more of like a lower sugar fruit. You're not going to get the calories and the calorie hit from those types of things. So a lot of the tropical fruits that are going to give you more of that nutrition, more of that calories, they're harder to come by. You can't just go and buy a handful of ripe, perfectly organic mangoes or bananas all the time.
Right.
So like it can be really challenging and inconvenient because you have the fucking willpower. You're like, I'm going to do this. I don't give a fuck. I'll do what it takes. Doesn't make it easier though, that when you show up to Whole Foods and 90% of the fruit isn't ripe and you're unprepared because you just got off a flight. Yeah, you can kind of just eat grapes all day, but that's sad. That's like really a sad thing to hear for most people. I'm sure there's people out there who are like, I fucking ate grapes for 45 days and it was the best days of my life.
Yeah, right.
I can't relate. Worst time of my life was when I was eating just grapes.
I cannot relate either. Yeah.
So situational inconvenience is huge because we don't live, Harley says this all the time, we don't live in a fruit-friendly world. Yes, fruit is fast food. You don't have to cook it. You could just buy it. And in a lot of instances, you can eat it, but it really is difficult to make it to where it's easy and convenient and exciting for you because you want to be able to like show up at the store, have food. You have the money, you have the determination, you have the knowledge, you have the willpower. You just don't have it on hand. That's why going to Woodstock every year, it's like really refreshing and I can like enjoy fruit a little more because it's all prepared for me. It's all cut up. It's all ripened for us. And if you're watching this, you should be going to the Woodstock Fruit Festival in 2022 to hang out with the hungry people.
Let's get it, baby. Let's get it.
Below.
Yeah, you guys can.
People save $100.
Yeah, we would love to see you there.
But it really gives you the chance, if you attend Woodstock, to see how it could be if you either lived with people who kind of wanted to eat that way or you're involved more in like a community. and you can eliminate a lot of that challenge and struggle. Now, I know a lot of people who are committed to fruitarianism and fruit diets, they think it's worth it. They think that, hey, if you just get the rotation going and you kind of commit a certain amount of time or energy or a length of time to master that process, then it's not a big deal. But to a lot of people, it's easy to fall out of the rhythm.
Right.
It's easy to get tired of the same food. You know, I'm not someone who gets tired of the same food unless I don't like, if I can eat the same food over and over, but if I don't feel good from it, then I tend to lean back from it. So I could eat bananas every day and rice, but if I felt like shit, I wouldn't. You know,
Right.
It has to come along with feeling good.
Totally. And that's the thing with Woodstock too, is that they give you so many options of fruit. It's like, oh, you don't like watermelon? Okay, cool. Here's grapes. You don't like grapes? Here's figs. Oh, you don't like figs? Here's mangoes. Oh, you don't like mangoes? Here's, you know, there's so many different dragon fruit. There's banana cinnamon rolls. There's just like so much you can choose from. Now, I think this is a really tough one here, because I think what a lot of you'll see in like the fear mongering raw vegan community, I'm not saying it's fear mongering, but like there's people out there who fear monger and they say, oh, well, I'm not going to eat food that has citric acid in it, or food that has blah, 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 in it, like different kind of preservatives and stuff. And that's why I eat only fruit, you know, and I can get that understanding, but I just feel like there's potential disorders that can come from that, where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't, it's like fruit's natural and it's the only thing that I should be eating. And if I eat anything else, like I'm failing. And I just don't think that's healthy. And I don't think like that's having a good relationship with food. And I can see more people having detriments from that than being like, hey, you know, I want to eat this way, but occasionally, you know, I'll do that if it is what it is, you know? So, and that's the thing, is that we see that all the time in this community, where people just do that. They fear monger, and it's like, they want you to only eat, or like eat a lot of fruit, you know? And I don't necessarily agree with that. So,
you know, it's really, you develop a different eye when you've watched this stuff for years.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you first get into it, when you first find fucking fruit can be meals and stuff, and you get that sugar and you feel good and you feel light and you have energy, you only are looking for those good signs that come along with it. Hey, fruits and vegetables are pretty much always healthy, right? Mm-hmm. No one else was just, anytime someone did this, they just weren't eating enough. The person, you know, you come up with all the excuses as to why the diet didn't work for people. And you're doing it from a limited understanding. And for me, watching for the last 8 years, it seems like there's a lot more gray area than people like to admit.
Right.
If people are for fruit or they're new to it or whatever, they only look at the benefits and they don't look at the downsides. And unfortunately, there is just a lot of potential issues. And eating like a ton of fruit, I think what that does is it narrows your window of what else you're going to be consuming.
Yeah, totally.
Which can be a problem.
Yeah, it's like I was saying in the one episode, where it's like, oh, well, if I want to have like a quick snack, but I don't want fruit, it's like, what do I do? Because like it's good having like backup plans and having stuff that you want to snack on. But like a fruitarian would say, no, I'm not eating a Cliff Bar because there's X, Y, and Z in it. Sorry. What, like one Cliff Bar is gonna like completely wreck your system, you know? So, and I can understand like having a clean body and then you putting something on a clean body and not feeling good. Like I get that, but still, it's like it's just good to have options, you know. And I think like like you're saying, eating like fruit, it doesn't really give you many options at all. Like you have to be prepared.
Yeah. You have to be prepared. You really have to have experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you were talking about as far as creating disordered eating, it's a really important point. And again, I don't think this is one way or the other. I think this is another gray area. Unfortunately, I know gray areas are more of like a boring point to make to most people. But let's think in terms of the pleasure trap. You know, those of you familiar with Dr. Doug Lisle and Dr. Alan Goldhammer, which is, you know, these foods that really stimulate us, these foods that are way more hyper palatable and hyper exciting. So a lot of people would say, hey, let's just eat fruit because it's the only thing our body's designed for. It's really easy on our nervous system. And if you eat anything else, it's excitotoxins and it's way too stimulating, right? So I think that when we talk about people creating these paradigms in their head, or these dynamics that they want to make work, such as eating 100% clean, raw, organic, things like that, I think that creating disordered eating, it's just such an interesting dynamic because it takes a certain type of person. And disordered eating, I think, stems from either just overanalyzing and being hyper conscientious, or really having a problem that's not being solved. And I think that the gray area that I'm talking about is that people lump those two together. Right. Now, for example, you have a perfectly normal functioning 22-year-old that hasn't been raw or anything, to eat regular, but they're like, hey, when I eat raw, I feel way better. So that's all I'm going to do. So that person had no issues, right? They just felt better and they want to embrace that natural living. And they can go down the road and develop some, habits that will become eating type disorder issues down the road, because it's like, it's all they do. Right. They're losing weight. They're not feeling well, but they're still trying to or they feel good, but they binge and they swipe back and forth. Then you have the people who have real physical challenges, who really feel a lot better doing it, or they're coming from a past of degenerative diseases or issues, and they're really doing their best to escape the pleasure trap. And that could be whole foods, or that could be, raw, or even more of these cleaner paleo type diets. But the point being, you have the people who actually have challenges, and yes, they do have some snapbacks and stuff, but they're not doing it out of disordered eating. They're doing it they're actually only seeing results when they pay that close attention. Because some people, they have to focus. They have to put their efforts in to be able to get the results, or else they won't see them. Yeah. And I think that differentiating those two types of people is very important when it comes to minimizing the amount of disorder eating out there.
Right. Yeah, no, totally. And I've even talked to people who said oh, well, when I dry fast and when I eat a lot of fruit, my symptoms don't come back and I feel good and stuff. But there's still there's challenges to all of that, because it's really hard being social and only eating fruit. You have to find a community where you live that does that. And you can get together and have Fruit Lux, or have raw vegan dinners together and stuff. That's why having Leo here in Pittsburgh was huge, because, oh, wow, I met this guy randomly at the park, and I was destined to meet him at some point because he was good friends with a buddy of mine. But still, it just the universe was calling, and it worked out perfect, But yeah, AJ, you made a lot of really, really good points there, because there are people out there with some tough challenges that they it's almost like they have to only eat fruit, or they have to eat a certain way. But then
they just have to prioritize it, whereas some people don't.
Right. But I think those people, I think they need to realize that that's them, in that it's okay for other people to eat other foods, and that they can't vilify and demonize eating other foods, because I feel a lot of times that's what they do, and they make it seem oh, this is the way to do it, eat this. But whereas it'd be better if they're saying no, this food it makes me feel the best, and this is why I do it. Where even the carnivores, dude, it's just so annoying. They just constantly go at vegans and say look, a vegan diet's deficient in this. You can't get this, all this kind of stuff. And I get it, but they don't ever just talk what, I'm having a delicious meal tonight. Thank you for providing this to me, cow. This is great. It's never like that. It's just always coming at vegans. And I know there's plant-based people and vegans out there who post studies on the consequences of eating a lot of meat and having high LDL and eating a lot of saturated fat and stuff. But there just needs to be some middle ground with all this. It's always just hate and not hate, but going at each other. And I think it was something like this too, with the people who do eat a lot of fruit and say that you have to do that, you have to eat this way, you're a frugivore, and trying to convince people to eat a lot of fruit. You have to be understanding as well. You can't just be ignorant and thinking that we're only fruit eaters. So
I think that being able to differentiate the people who kind of have more experience versus the people who are just coming into it, it's a really important point I want to keep addressing, because you're going to have these 19-year-old kids who step on the plate and fucking eat some fruit, and they're like, I figured out the whole world. Like,
right.
Oh my God, the world is fucked up because people aren't eating fruit.
Yeah, right.
And it's such a limited mindset. And we have all of these younger people who are going to influence way more people than the people who are older, because they're way more, involved in community and social media, and they're more like probably fitter, look better and whatever. And they're going around saying, hey, look, this is what works for everybody because it fixed my fucking problem.
Right.
Now, that is a very, very scary, limited view. And it's a distorted reality. People are seeing what came into fruition for them when they took a certain step, when if someone else took the same step, they could walk off a fucking mountain and die. Right. So just because putting a foot forward is a good thing, not when you're at the edge of a fucking cliff, right? You need to step back at that point, reevaluate your situation like a grown-up, and then take the proper action. Mm-hmm. And people aren't doing that. They're blindly like, even I've done this for years. When I was a Raw Till 4, follower, I would be like, no matter what, I'm drinking a liter when I wake up, no matter what.
Right.
But like, if I was diluting my blood sodium and, having challenges, it doesn't matter. I'm doing it because in the long run, like, this is good.
Right.
I wasn't listening to myself. And this is really tricky. This is where the pleasure trap is really tricky, because you can't always just listen to yourself. Yourself might say, hey, have that beer, have that pizza, have the chicken wings, have the cigarettes, because your body's craving it. So we need to be, and this is an important part of growing up. This is what I've had to learn the hard way, which is there's a certain amount of your own intuition you need to be able to get in touch with. And then you also need to have a plan, like an overall kind of idea of what's going to work. If you just follow a plan, you're going to fucking fail. If you just go with your intuition, you're never going to get anything done. Right. You're going to be flip-floppy and you're never going to have any goals. It's good to have goals.
It's almost like you listened to my YouTube video that I put out today, Jay.
I didn't yet, but
but good.
like a ship going out, to sea. If you have the radar and you kind of know where you're heading and you have a captain, you're more likely to get there. But if you only just go by, the fucking way the wave is pushing you, you get pushed around. Right. So have a little bit of both of that. A little bit of intuition, a little bit of a plan. I think that what you're gonna do, you're not gonna have as much highs. Like, you're not gonna be like, I figured it all out. But you're also not gonna have these lows that I'm sure a lot of you listeners have experienced, where how many people destroyed their whole lives because they're getting too far down the rabbit hole of fruit only and fasting and just only raw meat diets and all of this bullshit.
Dude, there's a kid messaging me now and he's like, the fruit diet like ruined my entire life. Like I'm screwed. I'm like, my body, I have body dysmorphia. Like I can't even look at myself. I shower with my clothes on. I mean, this kid's crazy. Like, I think you know who I'm talking about, AJ. I sent you some of the messages he sent me, and it's just like, and I do believe that a lot of it is because like the pioneers, they make you think that like you have to clean out the serpent, you have to like only eat fruit, you have to just keep cleaning your body and get out all the mucus in your body, and it's just like, whoa, let's not get that far, like let's take it easy a little bit, like if you want to go on fruit for a little bit, that's fine, but like we got to incorporate more foods and stuff. So yeah, like it's like I think there's a lot of people out there who like have changed their lives around it, but there's other people who have like it's really, they've seen like some bad stuff happen to them. So
I mean, okay, there's been people at Woodstock, like I've seen on YouTube videos, like one young woman, I don't know how old she was, she could have been anywhere from 16 to 20, but she had a cancerous brain tumor, right? And she ended up eating raw for like a year and a half, and like even like a lot of bananas, so she wasn't doing like the cleansing fruits like watermelons and grapes. Like she just was eating and feeling better and being able to think clearly, and eventually like she was able to kind of overcome that challenge. I'm not saying fruit will heal all cancer or anything like that, but that's a good example of someone who had a problem, they ate something that felt better. They went and kind of ran with it into where they came to a balanced, the system. But if she would have been like, hey, I'm making all this progress, why don't I take this to the next level and just live on watermelon for 3 months?
Yeah.
And then she fucks up her hormones. She loses all her weight. She loses her period.
Right.
And then she's rebounding. And then it's fucking with her whole endocrine system. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing people who are like, I feel good. I'm taking it to the next level by getting rid of the mucoid plaque, which I know there's success stories out there in terms of people kind of taking it to that next level. I'm not discrediting those people. A lot of people overcoming challenges with health by taking some extremes. But guys, you have to admit, there are so many people who are really messing themselves up by trying to do that same thing. Because just because you feel good on a juice fast, are you able to refeed? Are you able to eat healthfully afterwards? It's really hard to do.
Well, that's why I think it's really important to get with people who actually know what they're talking about. And that's why like Everyday Detox in like his, in his team as are there is like someone who would be great to talk to, and like guys like that, even like getting with a doctor, even like who's the one gut doctor, like Will Balsowitz, he's on Instagram. I follow him. Like even like talking with him, and to see what he has to say. Like it's important to talk with people who actually know what they're talking about. And it's not just some like juice fasting person on the internet, who's going to be eating meat in 30 days. Like, what's his name? John Stearns, dude, like the hardest of hardcore raw vegans,
Dr. Morse fans,
fast for so long, eat only mangoes and whatnot, and get rid of all this kind of mucoid plaque and stuff. And he's now eating like meatballs and sausage of fucking dead pigs and stuff. And it's just like, it's nasty. This other person that I know, like just kept fat. Like one little thing happened. She fasts for like 5 days and stuff. And she's back to eat, like she's eating like keto animal product diet. It just like, you just see it. Like, it's just like such constant, like you see it over and over and over again. And it's funny because how they're eating now probably may be the best way to do it for them to regain their health back, because they messed it up so much by going too far, thinking they had to fast all the time, like all this kind of shit that like these people talk about. It's just like, it's just ridiculous.
I forgot, I was tying into a point I forgot to make, which I was saying the young woman who had the tumor, and she kind of by necessity started to change her lifestyle and overcome her disease. But on the flip side, we have parents who are putting their kids on mostly or only fruit diets, and these kids aren't developing right. They're normal, healthy kids. The parents think they're doing them a favor by only giving them fruit. These kids would have been better off with McDonald's.
Right.
100%.
Legit.
The thing is, this is what's scary. This is what scares me the most about a fruit diet. It is this. I grew up with McDonald's, candy, Skittles, Reese's peanut butter cups every single day, milkshakes, French fries, chicken fingers, pizza every week. All like so much of it over and over and over until I was 23. Teeth were super white, no cavities, none. Yeah, I didn't brush every single night. I didn't floss until I was fucking 18 years old, right? But I had, even though I'm taking in all this stuff that any raw vegan would say is so bad for your teeth. French fries, I would think bad for your teeth. Skittles sounds worse than dates and stuff like that, right? So my teeth, super white, no cavities at all. Then what you're seeing online, and I've experienced a bit of this myself too, these people who are going on fruit-based diets, within 2 years, you see them 2 years before, teeth are white, eating all this bullshit, drinking beer, staying up late, fucking tons of sex.
Right. Yeah. Like whatever they want. Yeah. They have great teeth.
Doing all the things they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Their teeth look really good and strong. Maybe they have challenges and whatnot. But then they go on fruit-based diets for 2 years and their fucking shit is messed up. Their teeth are discolored. They're see-through. They're fucking chipping. They're getting that girl. She was on one of those anti-vegan channels. She was raw vegan for 2 years and she goes to the dentist. And the dentist says, do you smoke meth? And she's like, what? No, I'm into health. And she's like, well, you have meth mouth. And she's like, I eat a fruit-based diet. And he's like,
Oh my god.
You shouldn't do that. You probably shouldn't fucking do that. So it's not a rule that they will destroy your teeth, but like for 23 years, I abused, my system in terms of like what I was eating, still had strong teeth. And that's when you pull out the calories or whatever, the fats or the proteins or the meat or the whatever it is, the carbs, and they fall apart that fast, that should be a red flag to the people listening.
Right. Yeah. So now that we're on teeth, AJ, this is great because I just feel like over and over again, you'll hear people talk about like teeth issues and eating a lot of fruit. And it's evident, it's out there. There's no study, sorry, Twitter sphere. Like there's not going to be a study on like people eating fruit and having horrible teeth. But I know like the Weston A. Price Foundation, they talk about teeth a lot, and I don't really agree with a lot of the stuff they say, but, anyways, I don't even know why I brought that up. That was pointless. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because even me with myself, I go to the dentist and, they're like, I mean, MP, your teeth look great. Like, I don't know why you're worried. And my teeth have always been yellow. Like they just always had that color ever since I was younger. I think I took an antibiotic or something when I was a baby, or they gave me something, and they just said like your son's teeth are always going to be yellow. So they've just been yellow the whole time. They haven't like know it. Like that's what it is.
I think we had talked about that on the hike. I was saying how like the dentist tried to, because I had inflammation in my gums. They went to give me like a certain type of treatment, but it would turn my teeth yellow. So I think you had something possibly similar where it was a dentist error. It wasn't even something that you fucking did.
Well, I'm not sure if it was like when I was, it wasn't anything I did. It was like just when I was super young and I was like a kid, something like, once again, I'm not really sure exactly. My mom knows. I think I've asked her about it, but I know that I've asked her. I just don't remember exactly what it is. But yeah, so I think a lot of like with the teeth issues, I think a lot of it is that you aren't taking care of your teeth. And I think like that's really where you got, I'm not saying you, I'm saying like people in general. Like that's like the best place to start is to like take care of your teeth, brush at least once a day. AJ, you might not agree, but like rinsing your mouth out with water. But what I like to use is water and baking soda. Turns my mouth out. And I think a lot of it is because like you don't want that sugar just like sticking on your teeth. And even Durian Rider talks about like when he's on the bike, he'll do like sugar water and then he'll drink like water after to make sure that the sugar isn't sticking on their teeth. So I think is the first step is taking care of your teeth, and that's gonna help you to not have teeth issues. You can only assume. Now, for me, like I really haven't had many teeth issues at all. Besides, I chipped my tooth out here. You can't really tell. It fucking sucks. And occasionally I have like some teeth stains, which I think a lot of people have, but I do believe that some of that is because of the fruit, like just being straight up. Now the second thing that I think we're seeing is just a lack of nutrition in your diet. And, that's, and AJ, I want to do an episode of this on you because there's just such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like people, it's all about cleaning. It's all about getting this stuff out of your body. And that's why it's so amazing talking with you, because you're all about cleaning, but you're also about restoring the body too. You can't just clean your whole life. It's not going to do you any good. Yeah. If you clean, you're also going to clean your teeth out too. You're not going to have any fucking teeth anymore. So
you might feel good in the short term, but in the long term, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right. So when you do so much fruit, like you are lacking some nutrition, you are lacking certain vitamins and minerals that you can't get from the fruit. And people will say like, oh, well, what do you mean? I can eat like papaya and mangoes and bananas and I'm fine. And it's like, I mean, dude, like good luck, So that's why it's so important to get leafy greens, to get vegetables, to get that stuff in your diet so you can balance it out. Health is about balance. If you do too much of something else is going to fall off and you're going to be out of whack. So if you eat a lot of fruits, it's also good to balance it out with a lot of vegetables and greens. And that's why drinking vegetable juices and green juices are of such benefit. I was listening to OK Raw talk, and for those of you that the OK Raw, John Coular, he's like he's awesome. Like he's a great watch on YouTube. And he's just like, he's all about vegetable juices because he's all about like nutrition and actually getting enough nourishment for your body. Because like, I think it's true. I think a lot of the fruit out there isn't like in the best soil. You know, the trees aren't as nutrient dense as they once were nowadays. And I mean, you could argue the same about the vegetables and stuff and leafy greens, but at least like you're giving your body a chance by having those foods in your diet. And your diet isn't devoid of nutrition, because there's that ideal and that theory of like, oh, well, the cleaner you are, the less like your body needs, and you don't need as much nutrition. But like, you still have to fortify your body. You got to. You can't just think that you can just live in a state of like cleanliness and only eat fruit and like everything's gonna be great, unless like you're living in the freaking rainforest by yourself with no friends and family. So like there has to be a balance. And I think that's like the best way to do it if you are eating a lot of fruit, is to balance it out with a lot of vegetables and veggie juices and green juice and stuff. So
yeah, we'll say
if you're a vegan, at least.
Right. Well, again, it's a twofold problem in my view. You have the fact that you're putting sugar on your teeth all day, which I don't think is the main problem. I think the main problem stems from, as time goes on, the lack of nutrition, the lack of fat soluble vitamins, or
right.
the lack of hormones and whatever, just making
right.
it to where your teeth can't stand up against anything, the bacteria, the sugar, the whatever. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're very, very prone to it. I mean, the thing is, like, the cleanliness in terms of hygiene, I think only takes you so far if you have a weak foundation that you're working with. Yeah. Obviously, it's very, very important to brush your teeth, to floss your teeth, to rinse your mouth. I am just highlighting the fact that there's plenty of fruitarians that are rinsing their mouth out all day and their teeth are getting destroyed.
Yeah, so totally.
It's a twofold problem. Yes, and if you eat an apple, it's going to like clean your teeth, clean plaque off your teeth, kind of make your breath better. If you only eat fucking apples, it kind of can flip on you and eventually start to work against you, because you just have this coating in your mouth all day and it's too much, and all the fibers kind of bloating you out and creating indigestion, and any kind of indigestion can create halitosis and create some of that acid reflux or things if you have weak digestive organs. So it can all flip-flop and work against you. Really, really important thing that you said, MP, was just kind of balancing it out at least a little bit. Now, when I watch a lot of these classic raw vegan long-term YouTubers and influencers, even Doug Graham, he's all about the greens. He's like, I don't get my calories from greens, but I eat tons of greens because your body needs those. He has this video where he says, everyone that only ate fruit, they lost hair, they lost teeth, but more importantly, they lost their health, because greens are super important. Right. Now, greens are important in a fruit-based diet, and they're good for you overall, but you can get away with less greens if you are eating more nutrient-dense foods. If you're eating animal products or starches and things, the greens aren't as vital. But on a fruit-based diet, I highly, highly, highly recommend making it more of a priority.
Right.
Because of the disturbances in the balance that can take place. Now, I'm no physiologist, but something I learned that I found very interesting is that if you do have some type of adrenal insufficiency, and when adrenals is what's going to control that sodium, potassium balance, and it's going to control fight or flight and these types of cortisol hormones. What I found interesting was, if there's someone who has a disturbed adrenal endocrine system and they're eating tons of potassium and tons of fruit and stuff like that, which is usually lower sodium, as you continue to flush your system with more potassium, more sugar, more urination, and you dilute that sodium, you're stressing all of those hormones and you're creating all that inflammation at an exponential rate. That's why you'll see these people, they start to put salt on their food, they start to drink celery juice for the first time, or start to eat greens. They feel way more calm all of a sudden. They feel way more better. And it's because when we just have this hyper amount of something in a state where we're already kind of weaker, it'd be different if your endocrine system's working great and you're eating tons of potassium and going crazy with bananas. You're fine. You can drink water. You're not going to dilute your sodium because your body can balance it. But if you're in a state of stress and disbalance, you're further digging that grave that's making you feel more shaky, more weak, more blood sugar issues, more chronic urination, more sleeplessness. That's what we want to avoid. And how do we avoid it? By being a little bit more reasonable and not taking the extreme of, I'm just going to do bananas for fucking 500 days.
Right. Or things like you're only going to eat bananas, which bananas are a great source of calories. Like, not like I eat a ton of bananas, you know, but I also eat other foods as well. So
cereal. Yeah.
I love cereal. But yeah, I just with the whole teeth stuff, you know, take care of your teeth. Like, I don't even know you can't get calcium. Like, can you even get calcium from fruits? I don't think you can. Like, I don't know. Maybe like figs may have calcium, but I don't think you can though, you know, and there's no vitamin K in fruit at all. Like, you get your vitamin K from vegetables, and like there's vitamin K2 in animal products, but you get your vitamin K1 from plant foods. And I think even some oils have vitamin K1, but mainly like your green leafy vegetables. So that's the thing, is that like, if you go from one extreme, like not one extreme, but like if you do something like fruit only, you just like you really are missing certain vitamins and minerals. And that's like where I feel like a lot of the teeth issues can happen, because you're not getting the calcium your body needs. You're not getting the vitamin K that your body needs, you know? So
I had this woman come up to me at Woodstock last year. For those of you who don't know, I went through a period of time where my weight got really low. I was like 113 pounds at 6 foot tall. This woman comes up to me and she says, "Oh, hey, AJ, you know, do you remember me?" And I didn't remember. And she told me that someone had mentioned to her that I used to be really skinny. And she said that she was like, you know, anorexic looking back 2 years ago. And people kept asking her, "What did you do? You look so much better." She's like, "I just ate a bunch of bullshit. I just ate a bunch of unhealthy vegan food. And, you know, I look normal again, and people aren't scared for me and stuff." So it really makes you think like, oh, she was eating, you know, all fruit and stuff. And, you know, tons of people are going to say she did it wrong. You know, I think that's such a weak argument. I think there's plenty of people that do things wrong, but there's also much more to it as well. You know, people are trying to do it the right way, and they're just getting shit results.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to highlight here is, it seems as though this woman was much better off just eating whatever the fuck she wanted, looking normal, feeling more balanced, and not freaking out and having anxiety attacks and all of these types of things with shit food, when she was eating the natural species diet, specific diet, or whatever the fuck. She had horrible results. Is it because she has to live in the jungle? No, I mean, it's almost a joke among the fruitarians that there's raw vegans that go to Hawaii and they come back as meat eaters because they're in the perfect environment for it, right? And they still don't know how to make it work. Well, I went to Hawaii, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna just fucking pick papayas off the tree and coconuts, and like it's like 200 fucking feet in the air. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere up there. I'll eat fucking Whole Foods shit. I
mean, I've heard of also a story that people like go to Thailand and stuff, and they want to like, they'll, let us say, if you go to Thailand, it has the best fruit, you know, and they come back, same thing like you're saying, like they come back not like eating anything but fruit.
Right.
So yeah, AJ, there's something that I wanted to ask you your thoughts on. It was a video that you and I just recently watched, and we've had a lot of back and forth discussion on it. It's someone's critiquing someone's what they eat in a day video, and they were talking about how like they're eating, like they had a smoothie, you know, then they're eating like another type of fruit, and basically this guy, what he's saying is like, oh, that's just like you're only eating sugar. It's just like sugar with some minerals. It's like the fruit's like nothing at all. Like, and you know what I'm referring to, right? Like, would you agree that like that fruit is just like sugar and like minerals? Because basically what I think what the guy was trying to get at is like, oh, you're eating a diet devoid of nutrition. Like, you're not getting anything by eating what you're eating. Like, eat other foods. You know, like, would you agree that like fruits like that? Because I don't think it is. Like, I think fruit can be pretty nutrient dense for the most part. Like some fruits, at least.
Yeah. So, like McDougall talks about this subject of animal products are nutritious, but they're so nutritious that they create saturation issues. They create cholesterol issues. You know, it's too much saturated fat. all these people who are overweight. MP, you and I have never really dealt with that overweight problem. So it's hard for us. We're kind of removed from that, but most people deal with weight issues in terms of being too much weight. Right. So as far as fruit goes, it sounds perfect for those people who are kind of like having a little bit more of over nutrition. Again, it's not, the fruit's going to have a lot of vitamins, right? It's going to have a lot of water, like I said, a lot of fiber, some sugar. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't think you get too much nutrition from it, but I think for someone who is battling, maybe they have anorexia, bulimia, they're underweight or whatever. I don't think they're going to get nourished with fruit unless it happens. I've seen people who are underweight that gain their weight back from it. But generally, I wouldn't say you're going to become malnourished unless it's kind of like all you're eating forever. Mm-hmm.
Right.
You include fruit in a diet, there's gonna be all those benefits that we talked about.
Right.
But again, if you're just isolating and it's only that, there's stuff missing.
Right.
And I'm not saying that as a scientist. I'm not a scientist. I'm saying as a person who observes this over the last 8 years. There's clearly people who are missing something, and it could be some knowledge. It could be whatever. I don't know what, but
right. No, I mean, there's something about it, and what I've learned too with the fruit is that like your body does process it much faster. And that could also take more nutrition to process that fruit, and I've heard people talk about, like if you do refined sugar, you also have to have a lot of nutrition in your diet because your body's using that sugar so fast that it's taking like other vitamins and minerals in your body to process that sugar so quickly. So then you got to replace it. And that's like really where the issues start. But also too, I've even heard people talk about, and I'm sure both of you and I would agree too, that like, if you are an athlete and you are like a biker or moving your body a ton, that like doing a lot of fruit's great. Cause like you're actually using those sugars and burning them off rather than it's like them just sitting and stagnating in your body.
Right. Or having to be urinated out. Right.
And like, yes, I think fruit is great for healing, like no doubt about it. But like, you got to move your body too. Like it's an energy food. It's an endurance food. It's a food for runners, But I do think like people, they're like almost scared to eat other foods because it's A, not a natural food, or B, it's going to get stuck in my system, and C, it's going to like build up and I'm going to get all this plaque again. I'm going to have to eat fruit again. It's just like that constant like disordered process of like cleaning out the body kind of. So yeah, like I think the more athletic pursuits you're on, I think like your body can handle the fruit much better than someone who's like just thinking they can heal by sitting at home all day eating fucking grapes. Like, I don't know how that's healing.
I like that you brought that up, healing. It's something we really haven't touched on much. It would probably be pretty cool to do an episode, kind of our thoughts on like healing or what we would do personally if we had some kind of challenge. But I have to admit, as far as short-term healing, I don't know if there's anything better than fruit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen some fucking miracles from people who, even myself, who kind of just like, hey, like this is what I'm doing. I'm not doing this forever, but I'm doing it to like improve something. I used to gain 10 pounds in the shower. I had so much inflammation in my body. It was holding on to every bit of water. I take a shower, I gain 10 pounds, and then I'd piss 30 times. So like, that I went on fruit and, absolved a lot of those issues. So I know that like, as far as like a healing standpoint, who can argue that like a raw vegan diet might be your best chance when it comes to natural healing? You see amazing things.
Yeah, for sure.
The problem is when you're a healthy person and you're forcing yourself to make it work.
Right.
Or you're just trying to make it work long-term because you think that's what is best when clearly you're not getting the best results.
Right. Yeah. Like even myself, that's what I did. Like I was perfectly fine for the most part. And I started doing all this like fasting and juice fasting and dry fasting and detoxing and fruit only fasting and stuff. And I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. And it's like, I was fine before and now I got worse, like
but that's MP, were you doing your positive affirmations? Were you fucking and I'm not belittling people that do this. I just was doing it and I was pretending like it's working. And I'm like, no, it's definitely working. This is just, I'm just going to get a little worse before I get better.
Right.
And oh man, it wasn't because I didn't, pray over the food. And again, I'm not like, there's people that do that every day and it helps relax them and they eat the food and they feel better. I'm not making fun of anyone, but at the same time, like I've done all of those things but it was just the wrong time for that food.
Right.
Like you can make all the positive like things around it and you could, talk to your therapist about it and feel better and all these things. But if it's just the wrong food, it's the wrong food. And that's what I was experiencing. I was like, maybe I'm just not positive enough.
Right.
And then you start to, I think it's unhealthy. I think you start to think there's something wrong with me. I'm showing up in the mirror every day saying, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And then I go and eat the meal and I feel terrible. That's because I didn't say I could do it an extra 10 times. I think that is a really like a spiritual gaslighting of sorts where we start to blame ourselves for the failure of the teaching of other people who have the success.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great point, AJ. It's not all about being, I mean, like having the spiritual mindset with it always important. And you want to be there in that life, but like, it's not the answer to a lot of stuff.
Well, being positive, that's also a really great thing. Right. But
yeah,
let me ask you this. If you're a woman in a relationship and the man is beating you and you're like, it's just because I'm not positive enough. No, like it's clearly a situation that is not your fault. And a lot of people, whether they're spiritual or not, or whatever, they're coming into these types of eating, these types of diets and eatings, and they're thinking that same type of way. Hey, it's just because something I'm doing wrong. And it's not, it's not your fault.
No, you can't blame yourself for that. Like you're trying to do your best. That's all you're trying to do,
Yeah, no, I mean, someone could just be guiding you wrong too.
Right.
Like if MP, if I was like, hey, grapes is the healthiest food ever. They fucking detox your liver, right? Or kidneys or whatever. And I give you grapes and you start being really sick. There's two schools of thought. One, hey, it's just detoxing you. Two, don't eat them because they feel like shit. Right.
Right. Yeah. So that's actually another thing that I want to bring up, AJ. So there's actually two more points that I wanted to get into today. With fruit. I mean, I feel like this could be like a 17.5-hour episode. I don't know why I said 17.5, but like it can be a long episode and it's already long. That's what she said. So the first one, we'll do this first, and we'll do the 1 second. The first is like going on only fruits and like seeing all these kind of issues and thinking like that's detox, or it's like either or what. So they'll say it's detox, but like what it could be is nutritional inadequacies. And then secondly, that I wanted to talk about is building muscle on eating only fruit and stuff like that. So, so I think there's people out there, like when I first started my raw vegan journey, I was saying like, wow, like there's people in their juice fasting or their fruit fasting and stuff. And I guess like, what is it? Are they juice fasting or are they fruit fasting? I don't know. I feel like they both kind of get like similar raps and you can get like somewhat similar results. Not really, kind of, they're completely different, but so pardon me, like I don't know exactly if these people are like only fruit fasting or exactly what they're doing. I don't remember. This was 3 years ago, but they'll say that like, oh well, I'll do this, whatever they're doing. It's usually like a fruit detox or it's a juice fast, whatever, and they're having like these crazy issues come up in their body, like these rashes, or they're breaking out in acne and stuff. And they're saying that like, oh, that's their body detoxing. It's their body getting rid of the waste. And you have to like clear that out so that your body can start over fresh. And like, you're kind of good to go, I guess, So I wanted to get your thoughts on stuff like that. Like I know, what I'm talking about. Like you've seen it. You've been in this community longer than I have, and you've seen it. So like, do you think that it like people are actually detoxing, or do you think that that like it is just nutritional inadequacy and a diet that isn't void of actually that isn't full of actually what you need?
I think that,
and like real quick and quick too, it can be like, the thing is, like, you don't really know that the specific answer. Everyone's gonna be different.
Yeah.
You know, it's everyone's gonna have different issues, and like, we're not just like pinpointing one person and saying like, okay, well, that's that. Okay, well, that's that. Like, they both could, like, one could be detoxing, one could be nutritional inadequacy. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, so just to make it clear, I do believe in detox for sure. I mean, you stop drinking alcohol, you start sweating it out. You know,
Right.
It's really dangerous if you've been drinking a lot of alcohol. I think it's the same thing with kind of food products that we take in that our body doesn't want. I mean, if I start eating greasy food, I feel it on my scalp. Like, everything starts getting greasy. You know, I'm starting to eliminate that. You know, we have our kidneys for a reason, our bowels for a reason. I believe in detox to the extremes that some people take it. I think there's hints of truth in it, and I don't think it's all true. I think that what's frustrating to me is when you have people who are clear skin, and then they decide to do a detox, and then their skin breaks out and everything's terrible. Then they're just stuck in the system. They're stuck in the state where everything's messed up, and they're like, oh, I have to keep cleaning, and then they binge, and then I have to clean because they can't balance it out again when it was fine to begin with.
Right.
But you have the other side of that spectrum where there's people with crazy psoriasis and skin issues and whatever. And then you see these people go on like the medical medium diet and stuff, and they have beautiful skin. They clear it up because they addressed whatever issues they were having. So
even with medical medium, though, even with medical medium, it's not really, I mean, there's some fruit, but it's not even like based on fruit though. I feel like it's more like celery juice, and like they even allow like starches and stuff like that, well, you know? So I feel like it's more like laid back detox kind of.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's specific. I was only bringing that up because I've seen a lot of skin issues from medical medium, and since I used a skin example.
Right.
But if
that's probably the most common one.
Yeah, I mean, he has like a 28-day raw reset, which is like mostly fruit, low fat. So it's very like McDougall-esque. I mean, Doug Graham type with the celery juice, of course. But I'm just saying, like, there's people who have the issue and they address it with the diet and get the end result that they want. Then there's the people who create the issue to begin with.
Yeah, right.
And yes, maybe systemically they had something kind of going on. But there's a lot of people, and it's similar in the medical industry. Okay. And what I mean, McDougall talks about this all the time. If you go searching for problems with your health, you can find them. You know, if I went every single day and got brain scans, and went every single fucking 2 months and got a colonoscopy, like, eventually they can find something that are like, maybe we should treat this. Okay. You're on a medication now. You're getting a surgery now. He had McDougall's grandfather had, I think it was prostate cancer, maybe colon cancer, something like that. And I think it was prostate cancer. And he's like, you know, McDougall was his doctor. He's like, what do I do? And he's like, just leave it. Like, you're going to die. Like, you're fucking 80 years old. You're going to die from something else. If you just start getting chemo and radiation on your prostate, like, you're going to die in a fucking year or 6 months. But it's so like not progressive. So we're not going to irritate it, right? We're not going to further diminish your health in an attempt to fix one problem that's not affecting you. And chances are you're going to die of old age or something else before that ever happens anyway. Right. So even in today, I've been doing car sales. We talk about that. We don't create objections. We handle them. So if someone's like, hey, no, I'm just not looking to buy today. We don't say, oh, you do not want to buy today because our cars are too expensive, because our, because I'm a shitty sale. You don't put things into their head that further walks them down the line of why they're not going to buy, right?
Yeah.
What you do is you handle the objections they do have. And that's how I think the healthier approach to health is. You fall and cut your knee. That's when you put the Band-Aids on. That's when you put the Neosporin or whatever the fuck you use, Supercells. That would probably work a lot better. But if you don't have an issue and you're like, I know I need to detox my teeth. I mean, I have no teeth issues, but I know because when I was young, like, I ate a lot of things that need to be detoxed. And then you fuck your teeth up in an attempt to create health. That would be the huge takeaway, I think, from this episode.
Definitely, AJ. Well said. Like, that's you're right. You're right. That's what we see it. I did that. Like, I think we all do it, you know? It's just, there's more sustainable ways to do it. There's more sustainable ways to clean your body and get your health to where you want it to be than thinking that you only have to intermittent fast every single day and eat only fruit and do no fats or anything, you know, like it's not
never have relationships.
Yeah, right.
Never be a part of the team sport.
Right.
You know, not work. I mean, I hate
Right.
working, but
Right.
I think that health should be progressive.
Uh-huh.
It shouldn't be. A lot of people think it should just go downhill, get worse, worse for fucking 3 years before it ever gets better. There's teachers out there, health teachers, who say, hey, if it hasn't been 7 years, you shouldn't even complain yet.
Right.
Like in my view, maybe the first day, maybe 3 days of eating like better, you're gonna have like maybe some headaches or maybe some constipation or maybe some diarrhea or something minimal. But then you should just start going uphill with a little bit of dips in between. Even Dan McDonald, he's the king of fucking detox. I run Dan's Patreon, talk with him a lot, spend a lot of time, on the phone with him and on video calls. And he says you should be getting better results with dips in between. Like, yes, those detox reactions do happen. Oh, you get a headache or you get a spasm or you get sick in the stomach, but you don't live in that for 4 months and think you're doing something good. There's something wrong.
Right. It's not good to live that way. Cool. Good stuff, AJ. Now, the last point I wanted to bring up here, and if you had anything else, once again, like we could sit here and talk about food all day.
One more thing, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, cool. I think what we'll see too is like thinking that like you could build only muscle eating fruit. And like once again, like it fuels your muscle. It gives you the energy to like go work out and stuff. But like I think like long term, like fruit only diets for muscle growth isn't like the best way to go. And I think like getting the overhyped macronutrient protein, I think it does play a huge role in building muscle. And like honestly, if you do a fruit only diet or like a lot of fruit and think that like you're getting enough protein, like I don't think you are, in my opinion. Like you're not. You're definitely under proteined. Even though like you may not look it, like you can definitely have muscle and be a fruitarian. But I mean, some people may need that. Some people that like works best for them. But I just think I think you're more prone to getting injured, and you're going to limit yourself by thinking you could do like crazy amounts of fruit and not do any protein at all. So. But like I think a lot of times what we'll see too is like people, they're like already built up, and we talked about this with Jenna on her episode. Like these people that are already built up, they already have muscle. They start eating a lot of fruit or even like only fruits, and they'll start like actually like cleaning out and getting rid of some inflammation and stuff, and they'll look like more toned up, and they'll have like their abs will start showing and whatnot. And whatever there is, maybe they really are like getting out old waste and actually cleaning their system, and they'll get good results. But to think that like you can just only do that and sustain it long term, I don't see it.
Yeah. The thing is, I sent MP and Jalen and Josh a video in a group chat that we had by that guy, Andrew Tate. And we're not going to dive into Andrew Tate, but I'm going to dive into the subject of exceptions to the rule. There is people out there who eat fruit-based diet. I think Mike Velocity is one of them. Like there's people who got stronger as a result of switching over to a certain way of eating. But I do think that's an exception to the rule. I think that generally people are not going to become more muscular and stronger on fruit for a variety of reasons. I mean, we listed a lot of them. The inconvenience, it's a lot easier to undereat because you have to eat a lot more volume in order, like amino acids and fatty acids are essential nutrients. Like we have to consume them. And yeah, we can get it from fruit, but we have to eat a certain amount of fruit so that we have the bare minimum amount of fat and protein. Whereas you could just grab something else, I don't know, like a starch or a meat or whatever, and you get it very, very, very easily. Even tofu, whatever.
This I like sprouted tofu I have, it's like 48 grams per block, and I'm a soy boy, I guess. Sorry.
That's why he's wearing the pink shirt. But the thing is, like, how many fruitarians have you guys seen online or in person that are way skinny? You know, you wouldn't think that they're having too much protein at all. Right. It's easier to be skinny on fruit. It's easy to be light, a triathlete, a runner, a biker, than it is to be a fucking warrior, boxer, MMA fighter. Yeah,
Right.
you're gonna have endurance, but are you gonna have that same type of like strength and explosiveness? Like it can be
Right.
harder. You're way more mellow.
Grit. Yeah, I mean, once again, you're not going to see fraternity and bodybuilder out there. Like if we're comparing to like actual bodybuilders, like you're not ever going to see it ever. Like I'll say
you're
it right
limiting
now.
it. Yeah, you're limiting yourself. You only have so many tools in the toolbox.
Right. Right.
I mean, these guys, they're not like, they're eating tons of fat, tons of protein, tons of carbs, rice, chicken, fucking everything. They're eating everything to put size on. You think you're gonna eat fucking bananas and grapes and be huge?
Right.
Again, there's gonna be people that are exceptions to the rule that can do it for whatever reason better, but not gonna happen.
Cool. Well, anyways, AJ, what's your last point you want to make?
Last thing, and MP, I don't know if you relate, but I think you have a funny story about this, is sex drive. I think it's very not talked about in the raw vegan fruit community, where you eat all this fruit and you're, like Mike Arnstein said, you have a controllable libido because you're just like not that turned on. You're not that vital. And something Dan McDonald and I always talk about, where it's like you want to have that, whether you're fucking 20 years old or 80 years old, you want to have that because, especially as a man, like you want hormones and testosterone and you want to be able to perform in that way. And I feel as though there's a lot of people who lose that, and men and women, they lose their libido and then they don't have any sex drive and they think, well, I'm just going to get along with everybody. Everyone's going to be my friend. And then, you know, you're sitting at 38 and you have no long-term partner that you're going to build a life with. I know for me, I want to have a wife or, you know, a long-term relationship. And that's important. That's a huge, vital part of any relationship is sex.
I mean, it may be like the number one part, bro. I mean, if you ain't pleasing your girl right, why is she with you? I mean, other than maybe you're a good person, but like, but like, I'm not kidding. Like, it actually may be like the number one factor in a lot of relationship is good sex, you know, and having that relief, whatever, if it's a relief, you know, whatever it is, like that satisfied feeling of getting it done in the bedroom, you know, like it feels good. It feels good. Yeah. So,
and just one of the potential downsides, you know, if you eat exclusively fruit diet and stuff, it's a lot easier to lose the weight and lose the hormones and lose the periods and lose these things. I know I did. For 8 months, I had no drive. And then as soon as I included fat and protein, that first day it came back. And I think that the minerals are huge.
Right.
You know, the green juices for me are fucking phenomenal. I think that there's a lot of people who eat cooked food. It helps a lot, or they eat meat. It helps a lot. For me, green juice works better than anything for some reason. I eat cooked food. I'm like, you're kind of hot, but I'd rather go to sleep. I got to be up early tomorrow. Or if I have a fucking green juice, I'm like, all right, when you coming? And I feel the opposite with fruit. Like fruit doesn't do it for me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, for me, AJ, wait a second. So earlier in the episode, I said that I agreed with that. About like fruit, like kind of just like, libido, like, but like, I don't know. I think like the more sugar that I add to my diet, no matter what it is, I feel like the more sex drive I have, like, just straight up. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think fructose fuels semen cells. I think
not mine.
Not yours, I guess.
Mine are fueled by minerals.
Not yours. But I don't know. I heard that from somewhere. I don't have a study to prove that or anything. Just off the top of my head.
You fucking heard it from Durian Ryder.
And maybe it was him, but there was someone else too in like Ray Pete's group that I heard it from too.
I mean, they say every cell runs on sugar, so who fucking knows?
Yeah, right. So I'm assuming that's also another thing too with like diabetes and stuff, and fructose. Like I think fructose bypasses, like it doesn't need insulin to be pulled into the cell. It just like bypasses all that.
Yeah, Robbie Barbero like uses insulin and he's type 1 diabetic. So like I think there may be some truth, like maybe it's easier, but I have a hard time believing it doesn't need any insulin, because then all type 1 diabetics could be.
Well, I'm saying fructose. Fruit isn't just all fructose. Fruit's
okay. It's glucose and fructose.
Yeah. Like
Okay,
if there's
gotcha.
glucose that needs to be pulled in. So like
So
you're
less
gonna need
insulin.
some. Yeah,
Gotcha.
right.
I got you.
But that's the thing too with like diabetics is that like I think their swings sometimes can be so high if they're just like doing only fruit and like eating like if you are raw vegan, eating like bananas and romaine lettuce or mangoes and celery is gonna help like stabilize the blood sugar and not cause those spikes so much. So
Completely.
that's just a thought. But anyways, AJ, this is my favorite part actually. AJ's final thoughts. I love it. Let's go, AJ. Let's hear it. Let's hear your final thoughts. This gets you horned up.
All right, guys. There's a lot that was said today. If you made it this far, thank you for listening.
But if you made it this far, leave a comment.
Yeah, leave a fucking comment.
Hey, watch your French.
No. The problem, the takeaway from this and the problem that I see is just people are just blindly following. Don't be a follower. Be someone who gets educated and listens and entertains ideas, but be your own person. Have a takeaway and an understanding of yourself because no one understands you like you do. No one understands the traumas that you've gone through, the hardships, the successes, and you know what works best for you. You know if you're that person who functions way better if you go to bed early. Mm-hmm. You know you're that person who needs to go to the gym because once you break that sweat, now the whole day is yours and you can accomplish that. Or you're the person who has to step away and have that alone time. You're the person who does great on fruit. You're the person that is horrible on fruit. You might do kind of well on it, but you hate it. Like, listen to yourself to a certain degree, or obviously a huge degree, because only you have the power to actually change your life. And the problem is that we're giving our power away. We're telling Doug Graham, tell me what to do.
Lauren Lockman, come save me.
$4,000. Like, he'll fucking tell you what to eat for a month. Like, no, we need to step up and be big boys and girls now that we're fucking in our late 20s, early 30s. Oh God, it's so old, and start to be mature enough to say, hey, this is what I stand for. This is what I believe in. Yeah. This is what makes me feel good. I'm not a sellout because I changed my mind. You know, I used to think this way, and now I think this way.
Right.
And experience is the ultimate teacher. When we firsthand experience something, that's how we really learn it. I used to, when I first found fruit, I'm like, everyone's got to do this. If they're not doing it, they're wrong. This is the fucking secret to life. And here I am 8 years later. And I'm like, wow, I was so immature. I was like, so limited in my views. Stay open-minded and don't take in, you know, unlimited amounts of garbage. Take in good stuff and experience it for yourself. Because once you do that, once you master that balance of educating yourself and being able to listen to your own intuition, you're going to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, baby. Yes, AJ. Now, just to
MP, yeah. Now it's your turn.
Just to piggyback off what you were saying there. Yeah, I think. I was gonna say I had something great, and I lost it. What I was gonna say. Oh, dude.
Big deterioration.
No. It was. I got so hyped. I lost what I was gonna say. But yeah. I got it. Okay, so. I think with fruit, you know, the only thing you can really do is try it for yourself. Like, fuck a study, fuck what we said in this episode here, you know, fuck it all. Like, try it. Like, if you think that like doing all fruit and you're getting enough calories, not all fruit, like, because we did say like all fruit isn't good. You know, maybe you want to do all fruit for like a week because you want to clean out your body because you're so constipated, like whatever. Okay, I can get that. But like, even if it's like 2 meals of fruit, try it. See how it feels. Like you do it for a couple of weeks, like that ain't going to hurt you. Your teeth are going to be okay, especially if you take care of them. But just realize and understand that like thinking that doing only fruit or that like you have to only eat fruit, like, you don't got to do that. You know, you don't got to just like only eat fruit. And like, once again, it may feel great. And if it feels great, cool, keep doing it. But like, even like what AJ was saying, like there may be a time where, hey, you may have to change. You may have to retract a little bit and add in other foods. Like it's okay. Like we are frugivores. We get it, people. It's fine. Like we're frugivores, but we've also had generations and generations of eating diets that had like no fruit at all. So so like to think that like you can just go and be a frugivore, it may not be the best. You know, we're not in the most ideal situation here. There's a lot of factors that go on and that get into all this. So yeah, so I mean, I would say if you want to do it, try it for yourself. But just don't come to us and saying that like fruit's the best. Oh my gosh, like we've been there. It's and maybe one might say, oh well, like you didn't do it right. You didn't do fruit right. You weren't eating enough. I was eating a lot. I'll tell you that. At one point I wasn't, but I was another point too. And like I just want to eat other foods. Like I want to eat my fruit. Like I'm gonna keep eating fruit for sure. I love it. I fucking love fruit. It's great. I'm gonna keep doing fruit meals and whatnot. But yeah, you gotta stay in balance. You gotta educate yourself. And you gotta do what feels good. And it may take time. It's gonna take time. I'm still working on it, even though I feel pretty good. But the sleep plays a big role, I guess. But yeah, so just keep being awesome. You know, you're doing great, whatever you're doing. Leave us a question, leave us a comment. We want conversation. We want to hear what you have to say. So let us know. Anyways, AJ, that's all I have today. Are you good?
I'm good. I'm just going to say that MP, you can have the fruit for the both of us. Like whenever I get fruit, you can have it. You eat enough for both of us. I'll have one piece a week.
That's fine. I mean, I like fruit, so I want to keep doing it. But like I do love, like even now, like I don't want to just have like apples. Like I'm gonna juice tonight, and I'm not just gonna juice like apples. I'm gonna juice like apples and celery together. Like I like combining them both to balance it out a little bit, and it feels good. It feels really good. So yeah,
Awesome,
cool. But that's all I have. That was awesome, AJ. Great talk. Great episode. I had a lot of fun, per usual. Like
yeah,
this
one was refreshing.
Yeah, it was good. It felt to get that off my chest a little bit, you know. I just want to keep talking. But anyways, that's all I have. It's not all I have, but it's all I have for today. So stay up, baby. Be great. Always keep it hot.
Eat fruit once in a while. Stay hungry.